This is Top Shop Podcast.
Shop Podcast.
Top Shop Podcast.
Podcast for automotive service business owners by Paul Donahue.
Hey, Top Shop Podcast listeners, got a great guest today. Cecil Bullard. Just met him at the ASTA trade show in Raleigh-Durham. And if you guys have not been there, the training and the atmosphere of the ASTA is great. Cecil is, let's say, very well known in these here parts, in the circles. 45 years in the automotive industry, 24 years with the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute. It's wearetheinstitute.com. Yep.
And it's actually, just as a correction, I worked for another competitor for about a year, and I started a different company, which I ended up closing and opening this company.
Okay.
Due to some partnership things. The Institute itself's been around, I think this is year 13 or 14.
Okay, so 13 years. We are the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence, about 13 or 14 years now, but it's around 24 years in the coaching industry altogether.
Yeah. I got injured, hyperextended my ankle and tore all the ligaments in my left ankle, and that pretty much was the end of my basketball career. My dad had a shop. I was not really, I kind of went to the shop occasionally as a youngster, but it wasn't fun because my dad was very worried about all the dangerous things at the shop that I might hurt myself with, and he wasn't extremely patient. I can remember, don't get me wrong, my dad was like a great guy. I love him to pieces and everything, but I can remember, like, hand me a screwdriver, no dummy, the Phillips screwdriver, right? Stuff like that growing up. And I don't think Dad wanted me to be in the automotive business because he had struggled very, very much to make money. Because he came in, he left school at 12 to help his family. Now this is the, mid 40s. And so he left and went to work at a local Ford dealer cleaning up and detailing cars and stuff like that. The year I was born, which I won't mention because I think it's a slightly after Christ. He left the earth, but not too far. He started a shop, and him and a partner, and they worked really, really hard. They just didn't make a lot of money because they weren't really shop guys. Yeah, they weren't business owners.
Right.
They were techs.
They're techs, right? Yeah, trying to run a shop.
Yeah. So when I couldn't play basketball anymore, I ended up at the place where it's like, okay, join the military. I'm 19, fairly smart guy. I'm not a dummy, but school wasn't where I really wanted to be. I just wanted to chase girls and play basketball. So I dropped out, and I had three choices: join the military, go get a real job somewhere, or work for Dad. So I called my dad and I said, hey, I'm coming home, and good news, I'm going to work for you. I started out as a mechanic. I remember my dad, like the very first day, taking me out to the rack. Here's some tools. I still have my dad's, 3-drawer toolbox I carried out to the rack every day for a few years. He said, don't be surprised you don't make any money. And that was kind of my early education. And I started, changing oil, and I learned how to do brakes, and at the time, freeze plugs, and then it was electric and carburetors, rebuilding carburetors, etc. And so I was a technician for 4 or 5 years. And one day my dad and I were talking, and I told him, I said, our service advisor can't sell anything. They really suck. And Dad was the service advisor. He was the one writing the service. So he was like, well, if you think you can do it better. And so I kind of became a service advisor. And back then, you wrote service. You also kind of worked on the cars. He had his partner was doing the bookkeeping, and Dad was, out trying to chase accounts and all that. Year and a half in as a service advisor, started to look at the books and try to figure the business out. At that point in time, I went to a thing the ASC, Automotive Service Council of California, had in Anaheim, which they had 2 big events every year back then. And so I drugged my dad to that, and we sat in the class with this guy named Jim Hunt, who was basically a business consultant. And I fell in love with being a business consultant there. We sat in this class for, 4 hours. And afterwards, we went over to the bar. I don't drink, so, I probably had a Pepsi and some nachos, and Dad was, having a beer. And we talked about this guy named Jim Hunt. And we said, God, that guy was an ass. He was real straightforward. He was kind of pushy, but he had been a preacher that had turned shop owner, that had turned coach. We, on the drive home, which was about an hour and a half, 2 hours, on the drive home, we said, well, he said we could raise our labor rate. He kind of gave us permission to do some things and pointed us in the direction of some things that increased our profit. So all of a sudden, it was less struggling. I kind of said, wow, if I could do that for shop owners, I could change the industry, change the world. And so I've always wanted to change the world. And the world that I live in is the automotive world. I went to everything he did. I went to his service advisor training academy. I went to every event he had. And then I found a guy named Bob O'Connor, Terry Greenhut, Mike Lee. These were the pioneers of coaching and consulting, 70s, 80s, etc. Probably in most of them into the 90s. Most of them, well, all of those guys are not with us anymore. They're gone. They've right. Passed away. But the legacy of what I learned from these guys is being passed on to my clients, because we can go in and, help a great technician become a great business owner. And so that's kind of where it started. Now, if you want to know why it started, I never intended to be in this industry, because I watched my dad struggle and fight and work, 14, 15-hour days and work on Saturdays so that he could, go in and do this fleet that he could do on Saturdays and Sundays. So he wasn't home, but that paid the bills. That put, hamburger helper and potatoes and rice on the plate, right. And fed the family and kept us in clothes. And I had braces, and I think all three of my dad's kids, both my sisters had braces, and, dad worked hard and paid for those things, but he never really made life-changing money, right? It was survival money. And there's a difference in this industry between survival money and life-changing money. Survival money is, I'm working too hard, I'm not investing in my family. And changing life money is, I'm working, 6 hours a day to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I'm spending time, I'm going to my kids' basketball games and my kids' concerts and, et cetera. Fast forward, Dad and I worked together for about 17 years, and Dad was kind of stuck. He couldn't see the changes in the industry. So even in the 90s, the industry was changing. My dad was funny. I remember many conversations like, this electronic ignition is never going to stick. We're not going to work on electronic ignition cars. And then it was, cars will always have carburetors. It's fuel injection stuff. We're not going to do this stuff. And I don't think we're like Toyota, Honda. But Toyota, Honda were just new in the industry, just coming in. And those cars were pretty crappy cars when they first came in. And Dad was like, we're not working on that foreign stuff. We're working on Fords and Chevys and Dodges, and no German cars. And, Dad he knew what he knew, and he knew how to do it exceptionally. He was a great technician, but he really limited himself. So in the early 90s, I was in Palm Springs, California. That's where the shop was. Mm-hmm. We had, at the time, I had branched out with my dad and a good friend of mine, and we built a shop in Yucca Valley. So we had two, and then I found a shop in Indio, so about a 25-mile square, or triangle. And the shop in Indio, my dad didn't want to have any part of. Indio's, he had his reasons, but I think one shop was enough for him. And making, $150,000 a year was enough for him. And it never was enough for me. I don't know. I think it's my dad's fault, frankly. He told me to do it right. He told me always, reach for the stars. He said, don't settle for like where I've settled. Go for more, etc. So I have, visions of grandeur, and I want to change the world. So anyway, we in the 90s in Palm Springs, the world changed. They brought casinos in, Indian land, about every square mile, Native American, about every square mile was a reservation in Palm Springs back then. And then every other square mile was property you could buy or, businesses. So if you went over Palm Springs back in the 80s and 90s, it would look like a checkerboard. And they brought casinos in. And then down valley in Palm Desert, about 17 miles away, they built this beautiful mall and a bunch of homes on these beautiful golf courses that Jack Nicklaus had put together. And a lot of our very wealthy clients left Palm Springs because there was a more transient population coming in. And this is a marketing conversation here. We did no marketing, even in the up to the early 90s, none. Everybody in Palm Springs knew Cecil Bullard, who was my dad. They didn't necessarily know me, who is Cecil Bullard. Just like most people in the industry, many people know me because I've been doing stuff for 24 years now, podcasts and webinars and classes and, everywhere I can, speaking, trying to raise the level of awareness in our industry and the skill set. I remember what happened was I ran an ad in there was a senior center near us, a Jewish senior center, about 3 blocks from our shop. And they had a magazine that they put out to their seniors. And I ran an ad because our car count had actually been kind of shrinking, because by 92, only half the people in Palm Springs knew Cecil Bullard because new people had come in. And Dad, I remember it was like $175 for a year for this ad. And we needed maybe 2 clients to come in to pay for it. We'd already had like 5 in less than 3 weeks come in. He took me in and really, read me the riot act about wasting company money and all kinds of stuff. And I kind of knew at that point that if I stayed there, I was just going to be a shop guy with one shop, which that's not a bad thing, right? I mean, if you have a successful shop and you have one, that's great. I think that's fine for many people. But for me, I don't think I would have been happy.
Yeah, it wasn't your goals, right?
Yeah, I wanted to change the world, and I think at the time I was making $800 a week, which back then was not bad, but it wasn't great. I remember coming to Dad after like 3 years with no raise and going, "Hey, I need more money. I'm having my 3rd kid," and Dad was like, "You ruin everything. You have no patience. I was going to give you a raise. Now I don't think I'm going to give you a raise." This kind of stuff, which some owners do. They're pretty sour, and money wise, so anyway, I left and sold a shop, gave away a shop, gave my dad back whatever interest I had in his, and came up to Utah. Brought the family up here, and I'm really kind of glad I did. It's been a great place to live, and I've been able to. I started the Institute. A friend of mine called me, I don't know, sometime in early 2000s. I had an injury. I was running a shop here, and I had an injury, and I'd had 7 surgeries in 2 years. And I really wasn't working. A friend of mine called me, had a shop in Mountain View, California, and he was like, "Oh, Cecil, you got to come, run my shop and save me." So I didn't have a job. We were kind of broke. I just got out of the wheelchair and started walking again. And I ended up in Mountain View running this shop. And I came into a shop that had 15 bays,
wow.
14 employees, 5 technicians, 3 service advisors, a manager, 4 people doing bookkeeping, someone answer the phones, a parts guy, 2 drivers, just this huge. And they were doing a little over $1 million and losing 12,000 or so a month. And so I came in and I was like, okay, we got to fix this. And, I think at the time our average repairer was like $340 or $350. We took that up over $800. We raised our labor rates. We put our parts matrix in place. We got rid of some people. We created efficiency and productivity out of the shop. And so a couple of years later, we were doing $2.6 million with 4 techs, 2 service advisors, and a parts guy. Wow. And it was at 120% productivity. So 119. So over that 6.5 years I ran that shop, we were a Motor Age top 10 shop three years in a row. At the time, they didn't pick like you're the winner. They just had these as the top 10 in the United States. Mm-hmm. And we were in the mix for 3 years. And we ran at 119% productivity. It was extremely profitable. I ran into another coaching company because even then I was taking classes, trying to learn stuff and get better and better. And they knew what our results were, and we ended up working together. So I work for one of my competitors now for a little over a year. And sometime in the mix, I decided that that I thought I could do a lot better than what they were doing. And I think we've done that. We've worked with, I think I've worked with somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 shops in the last 24 years. The majority of our shops are earning 18 to 25% net, very productive. The owner is not spending more than 35 or so hours a week at the shop. They have managers, and the shop runs exceptionally well and it's exceptionally profitable, and that's the majority of our clients. So we have decided in the next 5 to 6 years, which is kind of maybe what I have left before my brain and my body decides I'm getting too dang old.
Right.
We've decided to increase our business every year of the next 5 years by double. And we've done that 2 years in a row, and we're going to keep doing that until we can really impact the industry. And I think right now is really a good time for that because there are so many changes coming into our industry right now with technology and private equity and other things. Even marketing has changed dramatically in the last 10 years, and it continues to change almost day to day because of Google and, YouTube and whatever else. We bought another coaching company in 2021, and I went to my first meeting with them. And most of our clients are spending the majority of their marketing dollars online: website, SEO, SEM, local search, AdWords, etc. And I went to this meeting, and there's a bunch of old stodgy guys in the groups, and some of them will hear this and go, "Oh, come on, Cecil, we weren't that old or that stodgy," but they weren't. They were doing direct mail was their primary focus. These guys were sending out, 10,000 direct mail pieces and paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 and just not getting the traction that they need to get. And I was kind of blown away because I had bought this company, and now I'm meeting the clients, and I'm finding out that they're a little behind the times, at least marketing wise. I think most of them ran pretty well. I think that the owner of that company did a pretty good job with, systems, processes, pricing, etc. Just their marketing was way behind. And now I would tell you most of my clients are spending the primary part of their money, probably a good 70-80% online for their marketing. And I think also you back 20 years ago, if you didn't have a marketing plan, no big deal. I think today, if you're not marketing consistently for your business, and there's a few guys I know that they're like, I don't spend a nickel on marketing, and I just keep going, okay, that's wonderful. But, around the corner, there's going to come a day where if you don't have marketing and you have good marketing, you're probably not going to be here. Anyway, I know I just rambled for 15 minutes. So now your turn.
No, that's okay. Just be sure to tell those people that it's proven by research that you need to invest in digital marketing 1 to 2 years before you need it. So we got a lot of calls right around COVID. I need this now. I'm sorry, I talked to you about a year and a half ago about this, and I told you need, because, that's why $6,000-$7,000 for 1 month to send out postcards.
Yeah.
$1,000 a month on Facebook ads over 7 months. And then every time someone ever touches that ad, you retarget them.
Yeah.
So that 1 month could be 7 months of really good, Facebook targeting while they're doing the PPC. But yeah, you're right. We're utilizing artificial intelligence. We create a AI account for each one of our clients. We take all the local information from that area and put that into the AI. And the AI tells us the more localized blogs to write, Google Business Profile posts. So technology has changed rapidly. I heard AI is going to replace 20% of jobs in the next decade, something like that.
I think that's probably correct. I don't, again, the guys that are fixing the cars, probably not.
No.
But I think marketing wise and several other places, absolutely. What I find fascinating about AI is you can go in and say, these are my customers, and you can put your customer criteria in and say, find me more of these in this area, or what do these people like? We're using AI now on phone calls, not us, but several companies that we would recommend to our clients that are actually monitoring the phone call, and after the phone call, they're saying this conversation was very positive, or it had negative overtones, or whatever. And so AI is going and looking at the conversation and saying, this was a very negative conversation. And that's right now about 30 to 40% of calls have a negative connotation based on how AI is reading the situation. And so we don't want that. We want to have a positive connotation. Even if we decide this isn't our customer and send them somewhere else, we still want them to go away very positive about our business. And AI to me is so fascinating. What scares me, other than the obvious, what was from Terminator, taking over the world.
Yeah.
The thing that probably scares me more for my company is who owns the material, the content. If I'm going into AI and creating, I don't use AI to create content because there's this question of who owns the content.
Correct.
And I want to own all of my intellectual content just because that's what I have is intellectual content. So that scares me about AI.
The thing with AI actually taking over the world, the Terminator scenario, it's real. I mean, even Elon Musk is concerned about it. His voice is concerned because if AI becomes sentient, is it going to no?
Yeah, if it becomes sentient, then how does it look at human beings? And
that we're a cancer on the planet, and the way to save the tens of thousands of bird species and plant species is to get rid of the cancer. So, where the
I guess it could, right? I mean, learning machine. The other thing about AI, you look at computers. Years ago, I was probably when I was writing service. So we're talking, I don't know, 30 years ago. A friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey, Cecil, I invested in this company, and I think you should invest." I put $10,000 aside, and for me at the time, I probably could have begged, borrowed, and stole it, but I didn't do it. And a couple of years later, this guy was retired. It was Microsoft.
Oh.
So, 30 years ago, Apple, Microsoft, computers were completely different. I remember the first computer we bought for our shop had 40 megs of RAM, and it took us like 3 years to fill that. And now, I don't know, I have 128 terabytes of information, and we probably need more storage because so things like memory, computer speed, there's whatever the law is, I think it's every 18 months it doubles. And I think with AI, that speed is going to pick up even more. And so the challenge is, how do humans, the rest of us, kind of keep up with it? I'm not sure we can.
Right.
So
yeah.
Who knows?
So, hey, what strategies have you found to be most effective for retaining, loyal customers with your company?
I think treat them well. Make sure that you're helping them. We have foundational principles. One of our foundational principles is we have to make a difference, and so make a difference. Be loyal to your customers. Be there for them. Understand some of them are going to leave you because you've given them everything that they can get from you. Might not be everything you have, but everything they can get from you. And they might need someone else to tell them something. I'm in these conversations. I'm in front of a class. You got a husband and wife or two business partners sitting there, and I'm talking about some concept, and you'll see the elbow fly out and hit the other, the husband or the partner. And later I'll be having a conversation. They'll come up afterwards, and the wife is like, "I've been telling him for 15 years to do these things, and now you come along and he's in your class for an hour and a half, and now he's ready to do this stuff." And she's kind of, she's maybe a little upset. And I'm like, well, sometimes it has to come from another voice. Mm-hmm. And we have this. We also one of our core principles is that we stay relevant. So be relevant, which means we're changing constantly in some way, looking at new marketing, looking at, how do we help our clients better? I had a conversation. We have a shop owner that's been a shop owner for about a year. He's going through some tough times. I actually got off the phone with him today after our meeting, and I called some of his support team, which would include his marketing people and stuff. And I said, "Hey, he's really going through some tough times. How do we help him?" So we had a little, what can we do for him to help him keep his spirits up and, help him get through this and get to the next place. And then, where we understand the market. I think years ago when I first started, we were kind of, we were at, in Kansas at the Vision Show, which I've done, I don't know, all but 1 year for 24 years.
Oh, wow.
And we're sitting there, and I'm noticing, at a competitive coaching company is like, "Hey, are you tired of your old coach?" And another one, and we're all there battling for the same, 10,000 shops, because there's about 10,000 shops that go to Asta and Vision and ATE and Apex, and same guys.
Right. Same. Yeah. The same guys tend to go to these different shows.
Yeah, out of 240,000, there's probably 10% maybe, so maybe 24 grand that are going to shows, getting coaching, etc. And we're fighting for the same guys.
Right.
And I thought to myself, there's this whole other audience. If you read Blue Ocean Strategy, there's this whole blue ocean over here. I'm in the red ocean. And so we started Marketing with Changing the Industry podcast guys, who's been very good for us. But it's a little different market. They're not many of those. Some of those guys are really advanced, but some of the guys are not as advanced. And so we target the top 40% of the industry. And I think most of the other coaching companies are targeting the top 3 or 4%. Okay. And so we've designed programs at the Institute for the beginner, the guy or gal that it's them and maybe one other person in their business. And we have some programs for them. We have service advisor programs, manager programs, shop owner programs, 20s groups, and one-on-one coaching. We have venture capitalists coming into our industry. I think it's inevitable that venture capital is going to come in and gobble up a large percentage of our industry over the next 10, 15 years. If we're like anything else, if we're like hardware stores or paint stores or even dentists have been gobbled up by venture capital. Mm-hmm. Their eyes are on this industry. And so we kind of identify that and we say, okay, how do we help our clients put themselves in the best possible position? And one of the cool things about like venture capital is, the average shop owner today gets about 2.88 times whatever their earnings net EBITDA when they sell their shop. A lot of shops have closed without anything. Some shops have gotten a little more, but with venture capital in the industry, if you're running a good shop, you can get 6 times, 8 times, even maybe 12 times EBITDA. And so there's a real opportunity for shop owners that are running well-run, consistent shops when they're ready to get out in a much more financially favorable way and to kind of dictate some of the terms so that their staff is not left, with someone that doesn't give a crap about them. So there's these things about looking at the industry, trying to figure out where we're going, trying to be really good for the shops that we work with. If you look on our site, you'll find that we have, 90 some reviews, all 5-star. You don't have there's no crappy reviews. Probably doesn't mean that nobody doesn't like us. There are probably a few people that don't like us, but they just haven't written a review. Really try to take care of your client and help them in every single way that you can. Mm-hmm. We're here talking to you. I just met you. I don't know who you are yet, really. We have a kind of a vetting process for vendors that we might recommend to our clients. That vetting process includes having some of our clients use them and being successful and being responsive. And once we know that your product's a great product and we know that you can help our clients with what you do for them, then we bring you in and we're like, oh, let's recommend Advanced Digital Automotive Group because we think they do a great job. And we put that out not only to our clients, but we have a huge marketing and mailing list, email, etc. And so we have a pretty good brand in the industry at this point. Work very hard, continue to work hard on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just had a podcast this morning with a veteran in the industry, 30 years, and he's a shop owner. And I asked him, what advice would you give to somebody who's just getting into they're buying their own shop and they're in their first 3 to 5 years? What's the one piece of advice that you would give them? He said, get a coach. Every shop that he's ever seen that get a coach right away, they're not trying to fumble through and figure things out for themselves. They've got somebody that can guide them that's already been there. So tell me about the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence. You started this 14 years ago, I believe?
This one, 14 years ago. Our mission statement is better business, better life, better industry. That goes back to my father. If he ran a better business, then I think I would have had a better life. So, and that would change our industry. On my dad's deathbed, he got pneumonia and he was in the hospital for a long time, dying. He knew he was dying. And about a week before he passed, I had some conversation with his doctors, and they were like, he's not going to be around. His lungs, he smoked four packs a day for 45 years, and he had some COPD, and then he got pneumonia, and they were pumping him full of all the oxygen they could. And, they were helping him breathe, and it just wasn't enough.
Right.
And I went in, so I'm in his hotel room and I said, "Hey Dad, are we okay? We worked together. We didn't always see eye to eye, but we had a great relationship after the tumultuous stuff." And he had a pad and he wrote on there, yes. And then he wrote, "I'm sorry," next, which is the hard part, because I know what that meant. He wasn't sorry that he didn't make more money. He wasn't sorry that he wasn't a great guy or, didn't try to be a great father. He was sorry because he never came to a basketball game, never attended a music concert, didn't come to my college graduation. He was sorry that he didn't get to know his grandkids because he was too busy working the whole time. And so that drives into the better business, better life, better industry, which is our mission, our vision. And I'll screw it up, but it's basically to be the most comprehensive and effective coaching and training company in the industry. So we constantly look at how to do that. And then we have five core principles. We call them foundational. Make a difference. We have to be able to make a difference. Everyone has to win. So you'll never hear me or any of our people here go, "Let's take away from your techs so that the owner can make more money," or "Let's take away from your customers." We want the owner to win, the employees to win, and the customers to win. And so we work really hard to create all of that. And we have to, I already said, be effective. It's got to be fun. We have to make a difference. And then last but not least, it has to be do the right thing, which means it has to be legal, moral, and ethical.
Right.
And so when we look at other companies in our industry, there's some companies out there doing some things that I don't agree with. And so I don't, you're never going to hear me scream from the rooftops, "Those guys are bums and they're horrible and what they're doing is terrible." I might say, I don't agree with them. I don't think this is right for our industries. There's some online pricing tools, stuff that really take a lot of what the shops bring to the table out of the equation. And I think those are bad for us. So we will not partner with those people. But we have these foundational principles that all of my staff knows. You could ask anyone that's on my team; they'll understand. They'll feed it back to you. They live it. They die it. And then we have great clients because we've been able to do life-changing things with them. And I have I can't tell you how many times I've had a guy come in. I could tell you about one, which is probably 1,000. "Hey, we're losing money. We're worried about whether or not the shop's going to survive. I don't know if I can afford coaching, but I'm going to use my last credit card, to get coaching, because if I don't, I'm going to be done." And we work with that guy. The first year we worked with him, he probably went from losing $80,000 to making 160. About 5 years in, last year, he called me. He said, "Hey, Cecil, do you have a money manager person?" Which is different than an accountant, right? And I said, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "Well, we're going to make $1 million this year." And so within 5 years to go from losing 80,000 to making $1 million in one shop, in one place, that story goes over and over and over again throughout our history as a company. And it's not about the money. This is a guy who now only works 25 hours a week, 20 hours a week. He pays his staff 2 or 3 times what he used to pay staff. His customers are happier because the product's happier, the employees are happier. The business runs a lot smoother. That's what we do. We teach great technicians how to be great shop owners. And your guy was absolutely right. What's the best advice I could give somebody? Understand your business, and the way you're going to understand your business is probably best by hiring a coach. We have a lot of old guys in the industry, guys like me. I'm 63, been around since 79, stuck in my ways. That coaching company, those guys are bums. They didn't help me. I'm never going to go to a coaching company again. We just have these guys. But we also have some of these young, 30-year-olds, 28-year-olds, 24-year-olds, even, 42-year-olds who are excited about being in this industry and the potential. And those guys, I think I have 4 clients right now who have not yet bought a shop. They haven't even bought a shop. They're 3 months, 4 months, 5 months out from buying a shop, but they want to understand not just how do I buy a shop and not overpay. That's a small part of it, but they want to understand when I hit the ground, I want to hit the ground running. So I need to know about, balancing the thing financially, making the machine run the best the machine can run. How do I manage people? How do I inspire people? Those things a good coach or a good coaching company, a good trainer are going to be able to help you with. And they're invaluable. I mean, you think about just say that my guy didn't make $1 million. Let's say he only made 300,000. We went from losing 80,000 to say making 300,000 a year, and he's still got a good 20 years left. So do the math. That's 10 million. That's over $10 million of additional profit that this guy is going to be able to build family wealth with, and whatever else. Otherwise, what are you going to do? You're going to struggle, fight, and I'm going to do it myself. I hate more than anything. I've got a guy sitting in class, even at ASTA, they came up to me, a couple of them. Hey, Cecil, I've seen you 3 years in a row. You've really changed my life. I got money in the bank now. Things are going really well. And when I'm ready, I'm gonna hire you as a coach, right? Well, they're never ready, and so maybe they get a 5% increase or 10% increase, but it's not anywhere near where they can be. And what's the holdup? How much money? I asked the guy. I said, very specific guy. I said, how much have I made you? Do you think in 3 years? Oh, a couple $100,000, right? I actually have cash in the bank, so I could come here, brought all my staff here. We don't have to worry about paying bills anymore. There's plenty of money. And so what's the holdup? Well, I'm just not ready. And by the way, next year I'll see the guy at ASTA. The year after that, I'll see the guy at ASTA. And he'll just keep saying, I'm not ready. And I hate that. I mean, I know what we can do. And I ache for guys like that because they're never going to get all out of their business and their lives that they could get.
Well, I understand that frustration because I see people's websites and digital presence. They're on the bottom of page 1. Or if you guys out there haven't heard that tech joke, where does the mob hide dead bodies? Page 2.
Page 2.
Everybody goes, right, you've heard that one.
Yeah.
So
I've even said it a couple times.
Yeah, have you? Okay, you're like the only person I've known that knows that tech joke. But I see a trifecta with successful shop owners. One is they have a coach. 2 is they have a really good digital marketing agency that takes care of their website and their digital presence. 3, they get training. They're constantly getting training.
And their staff, right?
Yeah.
They're training everyone in their company.
Not just the owner, but and the staff. Yeah. That's why, Vision, ASTA, places like that. That's just the shops that that are going to these events and bringing their techs with them and their managers. Those are the shops that are going places. So
I have a question for you.
Sure.
All right. So here I am. I'm a business owner, and I've got a website, and it's probably not a perfect website, but I've got a marketing team, and we built our website, and we understand a lot about that. And I have several. The other thing is get a mentor or 2 or 3. So I have several mentors, which are top marketing guys that I sit down with, and I ask them what's going on, what's Google. But here's the question. Every day, I get 3 to 5 to 10 companies hitting me up saying, well, we looked at your website and, we can improve it. It's not running great. It's this, it's that. And they would like to take my money and help me. How do you, as a marketing company, deal with that? Because that creates insecurity in the marketplace, right?
I would say so, and that's most of that stuff's spam anyway. and I can go to Microsoft's website and find mistakes with it. I can go to any website on the planet and find some mistakes, or maybe a couple on-page SEO errors here or there. So, and then to the person that doesn't know, to the shop owner that doesn't know, they're like, oh, I need to get this fixed, but it's, and they could be at the top of Google. So, there's certain things that you want to pay attention to. Load speed scores, like, really important. There's a lot of research in the last 24 months that have come out on how to get websites to convert at a maximum level. So, there's not a lot of companies that I see that are taking that training and that research and applying it to their clients' websites. So,
one of the things that we do, because most of our clients allow us access, we know what's going on with their site, and we'll have one of the people we recommend that are marketing for them, and there's a few in the industry I really like. Like I had a guy today, his website hits are up, his phone calls and his interact clicks are up 70% in 3 months. Okay. And this is a guy that's basically saying, well, my phone's not ringing, but it is. And he's saying, I'm not sure I'm happy with my marketing guy, but we routinely watch your site after you've moved to the next marketing guy that told you he was going to give you all the secrets, etc. And in many cases, their actual performance from the site has gone down and not gone up. Now, we don't bring that up. I don't say, well, you changed and 3 months later your site's down. But how do you deal with that, like that constant? I got a guy whose business is way down, and he's using XYZ marketing company, and he's just sure that they're not sending him any decent leads. So I listen to phone calls, and I say, send me some phone calls. And here's how his service advisor answers the phone. Bob's Automotive.
Sure. And
then there's silence. And then the customer goes, hey, do you guys do alignments on Tesla? And there's a hesitation, 5 second, 6 second hesitation. And then the service advisor goes, yeah, we do alignments. And what then happens is a 37-minute phone call where never once does the service advisor show interest in the customer. Never once does the service advisor ask the customer to bring their car in. Never once does the service advisor build real value in the shop and what the shop does. And we have these guys at the service counters that are killing our marketing. I paid all that money to make the phone ring. And so I have a class that we teach on, being great on the phones. And I would be like, good morning. Thank you for calling Larry's Auto Works. This is Cecil. How can I help you today? What do you guys do? Alignments on Teslas? Absolutely. In fact, I'm one of the best Tesla guys in the business. Why do you think you need alignment? And then the guy, actually, he asked the question, the service advisor asked that question. Why do you think you need alignment? Oh, I just bought tires. They told me my alignment was out. That completely skipped over the service advisor. But for me, that would be like, oh my gosh, I know how expensive those tires were. Let's get that car scheduled. We don't want to wear out the new ones, right? But after 37 minutes of wasted time, the customer goes one way, the shop goes the other, and it's not the marketing guy's fault. It's how we answer the phones and whether or not our staff, this particular staff guy 2 months earlier was answering the phone great, but he became disenchanted with the shop, and that disenchantment passed on to the customers. And it has nothing to do with our marketing. It has everything to do with our management and our leadership and whether or not we're paying attention and trying to help our guys stay motivated. I'm glad I'm not a marketing company because there's so many, variables. Who's answering the phone? Are they asking for appointments? Are they interested in the client? Are they listening to the client? And so I'm always like, oh my gosh, I have these clients that have great marketing, but their service advisors aren't great. And then they're blaming the marketing company. They're going to go to another marketing company. They're going to have the same or worse results because they didn't fix the internal problems that they have, the motivation, the management, the leadership stuff. that's part of their business. So yeah, I think a coach is, because we can see things that nobody else can see.
Well, you brought up a very vexing problem in our industry. I mean, I fired somebody last year out in Oregon, a shop owner. My phone's not ringing. My phone's not ringing. So we went to all the call records. They're not answering the phone 25% of the time.
I had one that was 40.
And he's paying $30 to $60 per lead.
Yeah. And you're not answering the phone. You're not even answering the phone. We're too busy.
And I didn't have my speed to lead program then. I was still working on it, but we have AutoShop AMP now. So if that happens, if somebody calls one of our shops that's using our program, and let's say both phone lines are busy, that customer will instantly get a text back saying, "Hey, thanks for calling Bob's Auto. Sorry, but both phone lines are busy. We appreciate you reaching out to us. I got your number. Give you a call right back in a few minutes." And then the CSRs at the front desk get a message on an app saying, "Hey, call this guy back." So they can get those. But
there's so much. It's not just, okay, I'm going to pay $3,000 or $2,000 or whatever a month for marketing. I have to have a great service, and I have to have someone that answers the phone that's interested in the client and makes the client feel loved and all of that. That's what makes the huge difference.
Yeah, answer that phone within the third ring, and have automations in place. So any shop owners that are listening, you really need to have automations in place. We're in an automation world now. So somebody calls in and asks for a brake job, you give them a price or an about price, and they say, "Okay, I'll check around." They hang up. That's it. Well, you need to be using an automated program that will reach out to that customer 5 more times to their text. Just a real polite, "Hey, you just called us a couple hours ago about service for your car. We appreciate you reaching out to us. Call us back if we can help." Just light touches like that, and that really makes the big difference. But you brought up a really important point. We can only go so far. You with the coaching, me with digital marketing and websites. It's the customer has to. They're responsible for a lot on their end, and a lot of customers just they don't accept that or understand that responsibility. So I try to make them understand it, but if we do have problems with people, because my reputation's on the line, we just let them go. That's the best.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I mean, we can only take. You can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be led, right?
Right.
you can take them to the trough; they have to drink.
Right. Yeah. So tell me about, you've got a podcast also. I was looking, I'm on your website over here on my other. So tell me about the Leading Edge podcast.
Well, we have a couple of different things that we do. One of them are pro tips, which are 2 to 5 minute, like how do you increase average repair order? What's involved there? And so we have a YouTube channel with a lot of tips, and we release a tip once a week through our system. So if you come to wearetheinstitute.com and you say, "Hey, I'm here," and you want to go to gearforshops.com, which is our online system, you can get there and get signed up, and we'll be sending all this stuff to you. Our Leading Edge podcast is something we did for a long time, and then I got busy and I stopped doing it. And now we're back at it again. I think right now it's once every 2 weeks. And right now we are interviewing primarily shop owners who have been successful and talking to them about what it is that they believe helped them with their success. So, we did this in our shop, and it was very beneficial to us, so we can share that with the industry, with the rest of the industry. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy Lee does that for us. He's our
he's your point, yeah.
He's our point guy on that.
Personality.
Yeah. And then we have my son Kent, who is starting up another podcast, which will be, I don't want to say more professional, but it'll be more, how do you lead people? How do you manage people? How do you help people motivate themselves? How do you set goals for your business? How do you understand what your business could do? It's more the down and dirty of actually running the shop from our point of view, from the coaches, the consultants' point of view. And that should be out in the next, 3 weeks. So we'll have 2 podcasts going at a time. I think they're very beneficial. It's so funny. I go to these ASTA things, and we actually signed up 2 new clients at the last one who have been watching us for 4 or 5 years and are now at a point where they're like, "Okay, I'm ready." And so you never know, if you put your name out there, you put your business out there, the Institute, when someone's going to go, "Okay, I'm ready, and I think now I'll get it done." and boom, all of a sudden you've got another client, and you can help someone else really create a better life for themselves and their employees.
Awesome. So there's quite a few different options out there. I didn't really know there was that many until I started going to the shows. So this is only the second one I've been to. I went to Vision and this year, and then ASTA, and then I'm going to SEMA. So what would you say really differentiates yourself, the Institute, from other coaching companies out there in your space?
Well, number one, Cecil Bullard, and what our culture is, and what we actually get done, how we do what we do. It always makes me a little crazy when someone says, "Oh, you're just like so and so. You do the same thing." No, we don't. We're a big enough business that we have all the value of, we have so many clients, and we have years and years and years worth of numbers. We understand this business, completely and thoroughly. I brought on a couple coaches that are not automotive guys. They're guys who work with the top 100 companies in the world and built very successful businesses, who've retired, because they bring other things like leadership and management into the mix. And so I don't have a cookie cutter program. I mean, we have a program. We do 20s groups. There's a format for that. But currently, I have 3 guys that are involved in 20 groups, 3 other businesses. When I say guys, I'm not talking just men. I'm,
Right.
people. I'm working with 3 of those businesses as a one-on-one basis, probably temporarily, because they have an issue that my skill set is needed to help them overcome. So we have a lot of great people here at the Institute, very successful people, fantastic people, and a lot of talent, a lot of skill set. And if we need it with our clients, we will bring it in. So, I have someone that's working with one of our coaches, and our coach says, "Hey, Cecil, they need help with building, pay systems that manage and motivate." And that's kind of one of I do that all the time. I eat, breathe, and sleep management and motivation. And all of a sudden I'm working with that client. I might work with them for 3 months or 6 months, and then we got it done for them, and they're on to the next thing. So it's the breadth of our knowledge. It certainly would be Cecil Bullard. I think our culture is different. And I would say that there's a lot of companies out there. There's some really great coaches. They're not me. They're not my son Kent. They're not Jennifer or Aaron or Fred or some of our other coaches. And the Institute is dedicated to helping our clients change their lives and be successful. And I'm not sure that always happens with some of the other coaching companies. I'm not saying they're bad guys. I think that some of the coaching companies, the way I look at it is kind of like education. So you go to kindergarten, you don't really know anything. You take naps, you get, I remember graham crackers and milk, my favorite part of kindergarten. Then you go into elementary school, and you go through the 12th grade. And there are coaching companies that can take you through the 12th grade. You'll have a good basic education. And if you don't have that, it's invaluable. Okay. But they can't go to a master's degree. And I would tell you that the Institute is a master's degree in running a successful automotive business, or a doctorate. And I'm not saying there's no one else out there that could do that for you, but there's no one else out there that's as good or as dedicated or has the culture or the staff or, all of the other things that we have that we use routinely to help our clients be successful. And I think if you were to dig through our numbers, so there's another leading company out there that has some really great reporting stuff, and they look at numbers. Our average client last month was just over 19% net profit, and the industry net profit is like 4%. And so, the results that we have in a way speak for themselves. And I think the Institute is, if you really want a company that can take you from kindergarten to a doctorate in running an automotive shop and running it well, that would be the Institute. And then we have a guy named Michael Smith, who is a venture capital guy that we brought into the company. He's a partner of mine now. And we didn't sell our company to venture capital. They don't own 51%. He doesn't. He owns a percentage, and he can get a lot more of the Institute as he helps us succeed. But he is helping. We have something that nobody else has. We have built platforms he has that have been bought by venture capital for more than 10 times EBITDA, and made some guys extremely successful. And so we have this. We can help you grow to 50 locations. We can help you mergers and acquisitions. We can help you in ways that other coaching companies have talked about, but they've never been able to deliver.
Right. So you said something earlier in the podcast that always piqued my ears, because I'm working to get there too, and it's been tough. But I want to get to the point where I can work on my business all day long, not in my business. And I've got 4 more hats that I got to hand off to somebody before I can get to that point. And so, and I'm getting older and I want to get it done as soon as possible. So, and that's a key. If you can get any shop owner, because I don't know what the numbers are, and I'd like to have those numbers. I don't think anybody has them, but
I'll be happy to discuss them with you, because we have.
Well, I'm wondering, what is the percentage of shop owners that never ever own their business? They always work. For 30 or 40 years, they worked in their shop, and then they closed the doors because they didn't have an exit strategy. They didn't sell the shop. They didn't sell that. So I'm wondering what the percentage of owners are, like, say, like Tom Ham, who Automotive Management Network, great resource for you guys. I don't know how many years he's lived in Florida, but he runs a very successful
In the Midwest.
In Michigan.
Yeah.
I think he's been in Florida for decades. So he knows how to run and how to repair shop, because he's not in the shop, handling phone calls. He set up his business to where he could own the business. So getting any auto repair shop owner, I think any business, I don't care whether you own an auto repair shop or any business, I mean, that's usually the ultimate goal, is just to be able to own your business and work on it, not in it. So
so you asked me the number. I don't know that there would be a legitimate number that anybody could tell you. There are approximately 240,000 automotive independent shops in the United States.
Oh wait, okay? Independents? I thought that was total, including chains.
It wouldn't be. Well, that would include chains, but it doesn't include dealerships. So about 240,000.
Oh, it doesn't include dealerships. Okay.
No. And then there's about 19,000 dealerships. At least the last time I looked, that was the number.
1,000 dealerships. Okay.
And then there's about 17,000 shops up in Canada, independents, which would also include chains. So a smaller marketplace up there.
Yeah.
I would tell you that in the next 15 years, that a good portion, 40% of those guys are going to disappear magically. The average age right now is approaching 59 of the owners. I know of a lot of guys that are even in their late 60s, early 70s that still own a shop that really have not built value around that shop. And so selling that shop they might get a 1X or something. They're not going to get much out of it. And a lot of them have closed. So I think that probably somewhere around 75% of our industry are guys that have bought themselves a bad job with a bad boss. Okay. And so maybe, when you get all the coaching companies together, many of us will talk. There's a few guys that they won't participate in that, but many of us will sit down and talk. And we believe that there's somewhere between 10 and 15% of the industry that is coaching, training, really learning how to be an owner in their business. Mm-hmm. So if you use the 10% number, we're talking about 24,000 shops, 25,000 maybe. And I think that's pretty accurate. And then the rest of the guys, many of them are living, hand to mouth, week to week, paycheck to paycheck, Friday trying to finish this job because I got payroll Monday or I've got rent Monday. And it's they get mad at the coaches. I'm a guy that every time I have a meeting, I'm like, our labor rates aren't high enough in this industry. We're not paying our techs enough. We're not paying ourselves enough. We really undervalue ourselves, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you coaches, all you ever say is raise your labor rate. Well, if that's an important part of, being professionals and being profitable and paying really good work for great techs, then yeah, I'm going to continue to do that. But many guys never really understand their business financially. They don't understand that they sell parts and labor. They don't understand that productivity matters. And they don't understand that most problems with productivity have nothing to do with the employee, everything to do with the business, the management, and the process. They don't get it. And because they don't know what they don't know, right? And I've done this so long. I wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. and go, oh, so-and-so's got this problem. This just, my brain is constantly like, okay, here we identify that. And we can go in and go, okay, let's do these 5 things. And those 5 things aren't everything, but they are going to get you into junior college, right? You're no longer in the 3rd grade. You are going to get to junior college, and you have a great chance of getting a master's degree and running a shop if you can get those 5 things done. I always tell clients, I think we even have a YouTube, there's basically 3 things that every coaching company is going to tell you. Raise your labor rate. And you raise your labor rate $10 an hour, you're doing 1,000 hours. You're doing 300 hours a month, that's $3,000 a month. It goes right to your bottom line, or it goes to pay bills if you're not paying your bills. Okay. Number 2, fix your parts margins. Have a matrix. Follow it. You don't know what a matrix is? Go online, go to the Institute. We got all kinds of free stuff about parts matrix, how to use them, etc. Number 3, do great inspections on your customers' cars. Find the work, the stuff that the car needs. Never sell a customer something it doesn't need, but find it and offer it. If the car's got upper control arm bushings, they're starting to come apart. Haven't come apart yet, but they're on their way. And they're probably not going to last the next 6 months. Tell your customer about it and say, these are things we should be doing right now, along with an alignment, and sell it. And raise your average repair order. I think the average repair order right now in the industry is about $420, $440. And in fact, I know for a fact that my best shops, if they're non-European, just general repair, they have average repair orders between $800 and $1,000. That's more than double what the industry is. And they're not selling work that the car doesn't need. So yesterday I'm having a conversation, and what we find out with a new person coming in is that their techs are finding, $1,600 worth of work, but only $800 is being presented to the customer. Somebody's making a decision not to present that work for whatever reason. And if the work's legitimate, why are we not telling the customer about it? Stop being afraid of your clients. They need to fix their car. They want to fix their car. They want to have someone they trust. Stop being afraid of them. And by the way, not everybody in the world is cheap. There's a good percentage, might be 20% of the population that are cheap either by need or by birth. Mom, they fell on their head. They got the cheap gene, right? And then there's some people that just don't have enough money, but probably 80% of the population wants a relationship. They want someone that knows more, someone that's going to coach them and guide them and help them make good decisions about their car. So stop being afraid there aren't enough clients out there for you. There are. And in this industry, let's get rid of this whole idea that car count and being busy equals success. Profit, money in the bottom line, happy clients, that's what equals success. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of shops that they're pumping 20, 25, 30 cars. I had a guy with 900 cars coming through his shop a month, losing, $300,000 a year with 900 cars, right? And we slowed it down. We slowed it down to about half, 450 cars. And all of a sudden we're making $1 million a year because our processes are good. Our people are motivated. We're doing good inspections. We're selling, work to our clients, etc. This automotive business, if you understand it and you run your business well, it's easy to win in this game. The problem is that we have way too many people in this industry that are great techs, wonderful people, but they don't understand their business. They don't understand how to be profitable in their business. And So the easy three, those are the easy three. We've got a video in our YouTube channel. You can, again, yourforshops.com, all free stuff. Come take a look. And you can learn all that. But then there's 43 other things that are much smaller, much a little more difficult to get done, that will make up half your profit that you're currently not making. Those first three will make you, enough to get by and make some additional profit. The next 43, you learn those, and you'll have the most amazing shop. And what's different is that we're working on not just the first three, but all of them, and in the right order. So a coach is going to identify, one of ours is going to identify 2 or 3 of the problems that you have. We're going to help you with the solutions. We're going to solve that problem. Then we're going to go to the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one, until you have a master's degree or a doctorate in running an automotive shop. That's the difference with the Institute. I would tell you 100%.
Awesome. Yeah, I talked to a repair shop owner not that long ago, and he says there's only 2 ways to make more money: get more cars or get more money per car. So
that's all there is.
That was pretty much it. So, just like my business, I always encourage, we don't do an analysis right away. We do a discovery call to see if we might even be a good fit for that shop, because I found out the hard way we're not. So we just do a quick discovery call. But I see, on your website, you have, get a business analysis. And that's really, as a shop owner, that's where it would start. So it is wearetheinstitute.com. Go on the website there and look for the get a business analysis and sign up just to have Cecil and his team talk with you and about your shop. So tell me about what you do within the business analysis and how that's going to help the shop owner get started.
We're going to ask you a bunch of silly questions. We're going to want to look at some kind of financial data. Sometimes, many times, you don't have clear financial data, but we can interpret a lot of it because we've done it a million times. We're going to do some projections. And by the way, yes, anybody can probably make the projections look however they want to make them look, but we're going to be as honest as possible, because I don't want to bring somebody on that we can't help. Waste of our time, waste of your money. Don't want to do it. My life is too short. So then we're going to go over the numbers with you. We're going to help you, probably give you 2 or 3 things that are going to make you another $2,000 a month. And then we're going to let you go, and you're going to at some point say, hey, we like those guys and we want to do something. Or you're going to say, nope, not ready. And we're not going to make you crazy, because that's not what we do. It's not worth it for us.
Right. Well, coaching, like good digital marketing, is not an expense. It's an investment. Like, it's a phenomenal return on investment. So
yes, it is.
So those 2 things, and training. So all 3 of those. None of those are expense. Training's not an expense. Digital marketing and ads is not an expense, and neither is coaching. Those 3 things are investments. And of course, the owner needs to watch the numbers to make sure that they're getting a good return on investment for those 3 things. So
absolutely.
Any questions you think I should ask that I haven't?
I would say we're at the limit. I'm got to be out of here in about 10 minutes. So
yeah, me too. I was watching the clock. So Cecil, I really want to thank you very much for your time. So it's great that you're just right down from the road from me. We're both in Utah. So I'm just 15 minutes up the road from them. Didn't know it until we met there at ASTA. So it's astausa.org, I believe. If shop owners, if you haven't been on that website, to take a look at that. Great place to take your team and get trained, in a great city, Durham, and with a great family atmosphere there at the show. Just to let you know, the type of atmosphere, one of the members of ASTA, the Automotive Service and Tire Association, he came down to the expo, and his house and his business was completely gone. So at the dinner and at the end of the expo, vendors gave thousands of dollars of equipment that was auctioned off, and there was a GoFundMe. So that's the kind of atmosphere that you'll find at the ASTA Expo. So go to the website and check it out.
They're also doing an online auction right now, and we have dedicated a day with Cecil to that auction, meaning I will fly out to your business, I will review your business numbers, your processes, your business, and then at the end we'll have a conversation about, here's some things that are going to help you succeed. And then I leave. And we're putting that online as part of the auction to help raise money.
Awesome. All right. Thanks a lot, Cecil.
For additional automotive resources and exclusive content, follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all our episodes. Thanks again for joining us in the driver's seat, and we'll see you next time for another thrilling episode of Top Shop.